The first section of the rally was a spectator stage 10 kilometers from the city centre, with normal traffic giving the cars right of way. The spectator stage was a 2.5 kilometer dash around the local autocross track, where the cars were set off in pairs. Spectators had turned out in their thousands to watch the action and were not disappointed. The focal point of the track was the bridge, which was the equivalent of a fast yump, catching out those who approached it too quickly. Charles Singer and Norris Ongalo were the first to fall foul to the temptation, and the long flight ended in a nosedive which broke the steering. Alistair Cavan and Gavin Lawrence also landed hard, putting the fan through the radiator, but continued unabated to set the third quickest time. The prize for the highest jump went to Imran Mogul and Mutuma Marimba. Apart from making the headlines in the local press, they also bent a steering arm. On such a long rally, the times achieved on the stage would have little impact on the final results, but it did serve as a useful shakedown. Tying for the second fastest time was Judah Ranarivello, whose turn of speed gave an indication of the threat he would be later in the rally. Ian Duncan and Amo Slash are always at the sharp end of every rally they enter, and were deceptively quick to equal for second. Taking the stage win by the slim margin of 3 seconds was the nimble Ford Fiesta S2000 of Conrad Rautenbach and Nicholas Klinger from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, no, it was great. You know, there was a lot of fans there, so it was great to put on a show for them, and it's a good start, but you know, the stages tomorrow are a lot more rough and that and quite different, so we just have to wait and see what happens.
With so many entered, the final cars in the two-wheel drive category only tackled the stage 3 hours later, rounding off the day as the sun settled over the horizon. After an overnight halt back at the Kenyatta International Conference Centre, it was once again Peter Horsey and Piers Dakin who were the first to climb the ramp to commence the meat of the rally on day 2. The cars were not reseeded after the spectator stage, and second on the road were Conrad Rautenbach and Nicholas Klinger, leaving at dawn, heading for the first stage, 140 kilometers to the south of Nairobi. The first of the 2 days of hard motoring covered 202 stage kilometers split into 5 sections. Stage 2 near the Tanzanian border was the first test, 40 kilometers of flat-out motoring over hundreds of yumps. This was followed by 2 more 40-kilometer stages back-to-back before a service break and the final 2 sections, which were separated by only 600 meters of transport. Right from the start, the race was on. There was no room for error, and it was Peter Horsey and Piers Dakin who set the lines the others would follow. It's never an advantage to be first on the road, but the pace behind was so quick that by the end of the first stage, they were placed 5th. Setting the pace of the rally, which included cutting corners where they could, were Carl Tundu and Tim Jessup. In the car, they'd found a rhythm firmly sticking to their accurately graded notes. They were quickest through the stage, opening up a lead of 41 seconds. Conrad Rautenbach and Nicholas Klinger knew they would be at a disadvantage, with the S2000 peaking at 170 kph compared to the Group N's who were pulling over 200. They focused on making up time where the route became tight and twisty, and for now were in second. Ian Duncan and Amo Slash were in third, only 12 seconds behind the Ford, but they were already having problems. The rear diff mounting had come loose, squashing the exhaust and putting strain on the drive shafts. Jamie White and Phil Arconel were unconcerned by the pace of the locals. They needed to beat Conrad Rautenbach for the ARC honours, but lost 18 seconds to them, which they would have to deal with later. They were in 4th. Missing from their normal place at the front were Alistair Cavan and Gavin Lawrence. Off camera and earlier into the stage, they brokered a front hub, and their rally was over.
It just went on a straight, so right at the beginning. If you look at a bit of metal, you can see it's just been fatigued over time. So we were just unlucky. It would have happened, whatever. It wasn't related to the jump yesterday, I don't think, in any shape or form.
Also out were Baldev Chaga and Raju Semi on their debut outing in a new Subaru N14. Over a mild jump, they lost all drive when the center diff stopped working. The first stage also claimed Azhar Anwar and Julius Giger's Evo 8. They took a jump too quickly, breaking the radiator on the landing. They got the car back to service with the help of others, but the car was going no further.
I changed the front springs on the car and I didn't get time to go out and test them properly. So what happened is, right on the first jump, the car behaved totally like I didn't, and it bust the radiator.
Jas Mangat and Gihan De Silva are always subtly quick. They never take unnecessary risks, always at their best when they can take the M12 to max. They had a clean, consistent run, settling comfortably into 6th. Amongst the leaders, Judah Ranarivello and Rila from Madagascar were the only ones to be facing the Kenyan terrain for the first time. What they lacked in local experience was more than made up for by their determination to prove themselves. They were lying 3rd in the ARC race and 7th overall. After the first 40 kilometers of competitive motoring, the pace setter was Carl Tundo, 41 seconds ahead of Conrad Rautenbach, with Ian Duncan in 3rd. The top 6 were separated by 75 seconds, which in Safari Rally terms was nothing. The next 2 sections would see a dramatic change to the leaderboard. It would be the turning point for Carl Tundo and Tim Jessup, who would benefit from the misfortune of others, although they needed no assistance anyway, as they were simply uncatchable. They were fastest through both stages 3 and 4, extending their lead by huge chunks on each.
I've been fairly cautious. The first one I pushed just to see if I could do what everyone else does to me. That was all right, and then these last 2 were pretty. I couldn't get any consistency together, but it's pulled off. I've been